Now, two actions have been taken in the last 2 centuries that we need to be aware of. One is the removal of these statues. That's one. The second one is the attempt to paint them white. And I need to add a third action that has been taken. And that third action has been basically to try to uh, uh, beat down this attitude of reverence for the sacredness of the Black mother among European people, white people throughout the world, by saying that Africa is inferior. So basically, it's a protection of this notion of white racial supremacy is to deny that there are African virgins or that there are African Madonnas in these Roman Catholic churches. Just right out deny it. No, oh, no, there can't be. It's not possible. How could this be? And even if there are, then you try to then say that you can't accept them, you can't believe in them, because after all, these statues of these Black mothers is really of people who are inferior. Yet the masses of people who have honored these statues, the masses of them have seen or have believed that there were certain kinds of miracles that happened with them. They have seen the power that these images have given to them. And so when you ask the question, why have Christians tried to hide the fact of their Blackness, you have to go back to understand that the origin of the Black mother and child in European mythology goes further back than Europe itself. In 1945, Emile Salins published a book that was translated as Our Black Virgins. And in it, what he did was to go throughout France, and he found scores of Black statues in churches. And now it's not true that all the statues in these Roman Catholic churches are Black. That's not true. I'm not saying that. But it's significant enough of them are Black to suggest that there is a history to them. And this history is even deeper than the history of those that are not Black. And that is something that I will point out as we talk today. Artists who created them didn't create them out of thin air. They didn't come out of a certain, they didn't just say, okay, we're just going to create these Black images and the congregation is white and we're going to create these Black virgins, these Black Madonnas. No, they didn't do it that way. This is not how it came about. Ian Begg, who has written about this, suggests that Europeans have tried to minimize this phenomenon. And I agree with him. I guarantee you that many of you have not been aware of this phenomenon. Yet in the 12th century, if you go back to the 12th century, there were biblical scholars such as Saint Bernard and others who recorded these Black virgins, and they wrote lists of them. And I'll give you. Let me just. I can't go through the whole list, but let me just tell you that they're found everywhere Europe has been. If you go to the French, when the French settled Algeria, they have in Algiers, there's a church called the Church of the Annunciation, where they have a Black statue of the Lady of Africa. If you go to Austria, you can find the Great Lady of Austria, Mariazell, the most sacred place in Central Europe for pilgrimage. If people go on pilgrimage, they go to Mariazell. This is the most sacred place. What is that? What is there? A Black virgin. If you go to Belgium, a Black statuette said what people have said, well, that statue has just been blackened by time. It's so interesting that this is an interesting argument that people use. They say it's been blackened by time, but what they mean is that, okay, it's old, and maybe it just got dark. But in most of the cases, when people have looked at them, the clothes that they're wearing don't get blacker. The dress that they have is not blacker. What they're saying is that they're trying to explain, why are these statues Black? And I will tell you in a minute why they're black. But this is the problem. If you go to League in Belgium, at Chevremont, you see the Our Lady of the Hillside is black. You go to Brussels. If you're in Brussels right now, go to the Church of St. Catherine's. You see a black statue. If you go to Orval in Belgium, you see the Dark Lady of Heaven shown with a curly haired Jesus. If you all over Belgium, you see this. You see. You go to Walcourt, Namur, where the Virgin is on the altar. That legend says was once occupied by a pagan goddess. Who is this pagan goddess? And even if you go to South America, you will find in Bolivia the Lady of Titicaca, a dark virgin of the lake. Even Inca fishermen who said they were saved by a storm from a storm by the Black Virgin. That the these are the native people are revering this Black Virgin in Rio, in Sao Paulo, in Brazil. Our Lady of Conception, the most sacred image, associated often with Yamanya and Oshun, who are both African divinities. If you go to Prague, there are 4 different churches with Black virgins. All over, you can find. I'm saying to you that in England, Downside Abbey in Somerset, often referred to as the Black Madonna there. Fearing in Essex has one also. The Mayfield in Sussex has 2 Black virgins in a girls' public school. In Aix-en-Provence in France, Saint Bonaventure is said to have brought a Black virgin from Italy in 1274. How did that Black virgin get to Italy? Of course, Lucia Beerbaum has discussed that in terms of the whole relationship with Sicily and Sicily's relationship with Africa. And in Angers, in France, a crypt of the Church of the Trinity, you can see, of course, the Black virgin. In France, also at Avignon, a large Black virgin without child, looking down on the saints. In Chartres, Our Lady of Chartres, and in Lyon, the Black Virgin of Lyon. All of these. I mean, you can go on. Marseille, Orléans, in Paris. Paris, whose name is actually from Par Isis. We'll get to that in a minute. At Saint Germain-des-Prés, on the site of the ancient temple to Osset, there is a Black Virgin. In Athens, in Greece, the very Black Virgin that came down in the Byzantine Museum from the time of the Greek Orthodox Church. So all of, I mean, you go to the Greeks and you see the same thing. Salonika Basilica in 470 AD. The Greek church, and the real model, many people believe, from many of the Black Madonnas come from the Salonika Basilica in 470 AD. This Greek church where it had the Black Madonna, the mother and the child. In Dublin, Ireland, in the Carmelite Church, Our Lady of Dublin is a large Black virgin, you see. And with a Black, and then there's a Black Madonna who's highly venerated in Dublin. You can go to Rome. Maria Nova, the new Mary, stood on the site of the Temple of Venus. In Siena, the Black Lady, based on the Libyan Sibyl. In Amsterdam, in Krakow, and Lisbon, in Romania, Spain, Russia, and Moscow, Madrid, all these places. I'm telling you this. Now, I gave you that list because it's important for you to understand and know that this is what is going on in terms of just the extent. And yet, with all of the extent of these different examples of the statues and statuettes of the Black Mother, you don't hear any acknowledgement because sometimes people are scared. And sometimes people just don't want to tell the truth. But if you look at the examples of of this, you will find that during the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th century, what happened with the rise of this notion of the doctrine of race and the doctrine of white racial supremacy was the question of how do you suppress the African origin of these symbols that are consecrated and are sacred to Europe. How do you suppress them? How do you keep the masses from worshiping these Black images? What do you do? And one example that they did really in Austria in 1798, when the Lady of Eiselden, who's a Black statue, was evacuated in Austria. By the time she was returned in 1803, they had, to the consternation of the believers in the church, they had painted her white. So what's happening in the 18th and 19th century? What's happening is that what people are trying to do is to say, wait a minute, we have enslaved African people, we have colonized Africa, the continent, and we don't see Africans after the Hegelian philosophical revolution as being equal to Europeans. So now what we've got to do is we have to condemn every instance where we see the rise of the idea of African Madonnas, Black Madonnas, or Black virgins in these churches.